Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. It is the day after Newcastle United smashed their transfer record fee on the Swedish striker Alexander Isak. The £60 million signing has been unveiled as a Newcastle United player. Wow, we're living in a new world now. We really are. Can you believe that less than a year after the takeover, we're celebrating outside of St James's Park that we got our club back, that there was no more boycotting games, that we could buy the shirts again, that we could go back to Shearer's Bar. And here we are, less than a year later, and we've spent over £200 million on transfers. Like, it's mental. The fans were obviously getting a little bit etchy. Oh, we're going to bring someone in before the window ends. Can we get something else over the line? What are we worrying about? Murdad, patience is a virtue. It's done, it's dusted. I'm absolutely ecstatic. And the message coming out from the club is that we are not done yet. And I fully believe it. I think there is more to be done this transfer window. A lot of talk about loans, but the big news coming out in the last 24 hours, and I would say take it with a pinch of salt, but the Newcastle are being linked with the Mexican player, Mexican international, Álvarez, currently at Ajax, and is in a position that we could do with strengthening. Defensive midfielder, the number 6 that we have been talking about for so long, and we are going to get into him. I've got some news on Dubravka as well, some bad news if you're a Dubravka fan, and bad news if you're a Newcastle fan, I would say. And as I say, big news on Isak. Can he make his debut against Wolves this weekend? We'll have to wait and see. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, be sure to hit that big red button. As I say, we are now 5 days left of the transfer window, and I expect more to be going on in the next few days. So be sure to subscribe. Do not miss a video on the channel. Let's start off with Isak. As I say, Isak. Sorry, I need to get that one right. The fans were obviously delighted yesterday when that one got done and dusted. The big question is, will he be available for the Wolves game tomorrow? A lot of the reports coming out are saying yes, that he will be available. I think that will be the big question going into this game. Will he make his debut? I think he will. I think he will play. I think for the travelling fans heading down to Wolves, I think Eddie Howe will bring him on. Eddie said it himself in his press conference that pretty much he would need to kind of have that time with the side before he would be chucking him in. And and we've seen it with Bruno. We've seen it a little bit with Botman as well. I think it's a little bit different with a centre-back, but generally we know Eddie Howe likes to take his time with players, doesn't want to chuck them in too quick. Eddie Howe himself also said that he believes that Isak's game is suited to the Premier League, is suited to English football, and I don't disagree. I think he's a big lad, 6'4". He's got a great turn of pace for someone so big, and I think he will hopefully fit in nice and quickly, but I think it will be Chris Wood tomorrow. I expect Chris Wood to start. I won't go into it too much because I will be back for my pre-match chat tomorrow ahead of the game, where we will talk about the lineups and everything in a little bit more detail. So be sure to subscribe. Do not miss tomorrow's video. But generally, I would assume we'll pretty much go with the same team, except no Callum Wilson, 3 to 4 week injury. I think it'll be Wood up front. Be interesting to see if Target starts. Someone who won't be starting is Martin Dubravka. Now, we know pretty much at this point that Nick Pope is the new number 1. Since Eddie Howe arrived, we were linked with goalkeepers last January, which feels like 2 seconds ago. Now, feels like 2 seconds ago I was stood outside of that stadium celebrating the takeover, and as I say, now £200 million later, feels like time has just flown, and it's only the beginning. It's only the beginning. But since Eddie Howe came in, we were linked with Henderson. We were linked with a few other different goalkeepers, and it was pretty much set that Eddie Howe, did he not fancy Dubravka? Did he just want to create competition in that goalkeeper spot? Whatever it was, Nick Pope has come in and pretty much become the number 1 straight away, and it's had some good performances. And I think the thing is, and Dubravka said it himself, could Dubravka have done more? I don't think so. He had the injury when he was unable to play. When he did play, I thought he did okay. thinking back now, actually, he did make a couple of errors in a couple of games, but Dubravka said it himself that he didn't feel like he could have done any more to kind of prove himself as the number one. I think Nick Pope is the player we've brought in. You're gonna play the players that you buy. We've just brought him in. For me, he should be England number one, and he had a good pre-season, so he's gonna start. And until he does something wrong, he keeps his place. It's just the way it is. That's how it is in football. Dubravka, has he spat his dummy out? I don't want to get into that really, because as I say, he's been a fantastic player for us. He's been a fantastic servant, but there is more and more coming out now, and it is looking more and more likely that Dubravka will leave this summer window, and it looks like it's Manchester United is where he's going. It seems to be a loan deal, which I'm not necessarily sure suits us. I think it would be better if we were going to let him go to actually sell him. And you know, Manchester United, the team who would only let us have Jesse Lingard and wanted us to pay extra if we stayed up and all that jazz, is a little bit frustrating that we're going to let, you know, such a great Premier League goalkeeper go for no reason at all, really, other than the fact that it sounds like Dubravka wants to go. So yeah, it's a tough one to take, and it means is Darlow number two now? Is Darlow number two, or are we going to go out and have to now look at bringing in maybe our own goalkeeper on loan? Are we going to have to go out and try and loan somebody else? I can't see that happening. I think it will be Darlow number two, which totally takes away from the point of why we brought Nick Pope in, to try and strengthen that goal. Dubravka is a first-team goalkeeper. He's a Premier League goalkeeper, and I think it's harsh for us to hold him on the bench. But he's a grown man, and I think he should be fighting for his spot. But that's the way it is. If Dubravka does go, thank you for the service. He's been a great player for us. Now then, as for players coming in, loads of links over the last 24 hours. In fairness, there's been links for a few days now, but things, I think, got overshadowed by the Isak. That was the one that was definitely happening. That was the one everyone was very excited about. And since that deal got done yesterday, it hasn't taken long for the rumour mill to start spinning again. Links coming out between Newcastle and the Ajax player Álvarez, the defensive midfielder, the number 6, the position that we could really do with strengthening before the end of the window. We know that Jonjo Shelvey's got injured, will be out by the sounds of things until after the World Cup, which will be next year, in January pretty much. So we could definitely do with strengthening that midfield. Eddie Howe said, you know, we are in the market, we are hoping to get things done, and the message is clear coming out of Newcastle that we are not done yet. A lot of the talk at the moment is loan deals. Now, it'll be really interesting to see what kind of pops up between now and then. The big one really everyone's looking at is these millions of Chelsea players. Gallagher is said to be the one that we are really interested in, and I've spoken about this guy a lot, so I won't go into him too much, but I think he's the best of the bunch, to be honest. I think Pulisic is a really good player as well and would possibly strengthen that wide position, but I think if we got Gallagher, that would be really good. But in terms of other transfers, what other loan players could we be linked with between now and the end of the window? Because Chelsea's not the only players. Chelsea's not the only team who loans players. There is other teams out there as well. So it will be interesting to kind of see what pops up out of that one. But as I say, the big news kind of coming out, as I say, really the last few days, but only in the last 24 hours has it really kind of taken a bit more storm, is that Newcastle are interested in the Ajax player Álvarez. Now, it's understood through some reports that we actually did place a bid for this guy previously of around 25 million that got rejected, and that Newcastle are now looking to place a second bid for as much as £50 million. Wow. We're just living in a new world now, honestly. As much as I said earlier, take this one with a pinch of salt, it wouldn't surprise us. It wouldn't. It seems that Newcastle have kind of changed their stance on where we were this transfer window. It was said that we wanted to really spread the money around, be a little bit careful. Well, we threw that out of the window pretty quickly, didn't we? Isak comes in, 63 million, a new transfer record. It would honestly not surprise me if some of these links turned out to be true. I just think we've gone out, we've done the big deal, over 200 million in this calendar year, January and this summer. Are we going to spend 50 million more on a position that we need in a player who has, I think, almost 60 caps for Mexico, Kev on Twitter did some great stat profiles on this guy, comparing him to Jonjo Shelvey. I'll try and put a few on screen now. And he looks good. He looks really good. Still young. The player profile that we're looking for right now is young, upcoming players, and I think he's one that would certainly do that. From what I understand, he is that more defensive type player than, if we're comparing him to Jonjo Shelvey, I think he's more defensive than Jonjo Shelvey, maybe slightly less pressing than Jonjo Shelvey, slightly less direct with the passing. But we talk about Bruno, that we've kind of shoehorned into this number 6 role to kind of cover for Jonjo Shelvey. And don't get me wrong, I think Bruno can do it. I think Bruno's a really good player, but we've seen how successful he was playing in that more attacking role, that number 8 role. And if we could ideally find a replacement so that we can allow Bruno to go and do his thing, that would be much more preferred. Now, are we going to spend 50 million to do that? We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see, because we just don't know what's going to happen next. If I had to guess, I would say that this is probably a lot of paper talk. And let's not forget, he's currently at Ajax. They don't need to sell him. Ajax have got all the money in the world. Well, that's probably an outstretch, but they don't need the money. They're trying to get Manchester United to pay 90 million for Anthony. Do they need to sell Álvarez to us? Probably not, but every player's got their price. I just feel like they would do the same with us, like they're doing to Manchester United, and just hike it up until we're probably paying more than he's possibly worth. But it's interesting. It's good to hear that we're out there and that we're not done yet. Again, that is the message coming out of the club, that we aren't done yet. And we will have to just see what happens next. But really, I think the attention will most likely this weekend be on the Wolves game coming up tomorrow. If you want to let me know some early predictions down below, please do. Let me know your thoughts on Álvarez down below. What's your thoughts on Dubravka? If he goes, do we need another goalie to come in? Because I think that would be just something else to stress over that we don't really need. I think Darlow's okay. I think he'll probably be okay. I think the main thing is that we'll just pray that Pope doesn't get injured. But if he does, and Darlow's going to play the full season, then that's the worry, isn't it? Something else to worry about. So let me know your thoughts on everything down below. As I've mentioned, if you're still watching the video at this point and you haven't subscribed, then please do. Videos every single day. I'll be back tomorrow morning for the pre-match chat ahead of the Wolves game, where hopefully we can keep, a decent form run going. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.